Hello again. A while back I made a Lucha film, which just ran through quickly about 40 some or 50 Lucha films in my collection, just sort of a buyer's guide for people who aren't too familiar with Lucha films. And I thought I had hit them all, although I did have a sort of nagging suspicion that I had missed a few. And turns out I was going through a different pile of movies and found 4 more that weren't on that film. So this is a short video just to hit those 4, just sort of supplement the other video. And 3 of them are kind of duds. It's more to warn you off them than to encourage you to watch them. And one of them is a great movie that I totally enjoyed. And I'm going to make a separate video and even show you a clip or 2 from that movie. So I'll talk about the good one last. First, let me show you some packaging, because none of these movies that I found have packaging. They're in paper sleeves, and the dealer that I traded art for to get these movies, I traded him some comic art for these, and you know, it's bad enough I can't pronounce the Spanish, but I can barely read his handwriting, so that makes it even harder to pronounce the Spanish. But let me show you some packaging because it connects to the first movie. This is a movie I did talk about in the previous video, and this is El Latigo Contra las Mumias Asesinas. Like I said, I don't speak Spanish. It's basically the whip versus the killer mummies. This movie I did talk about in the previous video, and it's not good. It seems like it would be good. It looks like it would be good. Doesn't it look good? It looks like it's right up my alley. But unfortunately, it's so cheap and so amateurishly done, and the action is mediocre, and there's no suspense, and there's no thrills really to it whatsoever. It's just a completely lame and mediocre effort. If you can't get me to like a Zorro type character who uses a whip to fight mummies, you've done something extremely wrong. And this movie's just so inept that I can't recommend it at all. There are actually 3 of these El Latigo movies, and so one of the ones that I didn't talk about before was one that I have found in a paper sleeve here, El Latigo Contra Tenez, 1980. He's fighting Satanists in this one. And again, Zorro character with a whip fighting Satanists. If you can't get me to like this, you're an inept writer and you're an inept director, and you're all inept. Everybody involved with the movie is inept, because I should love this, but I don't. Because it's dull, it's boring, it's not exciting, the action isn't good, and it's a big disappointment. So anything with El Latigo, the fake Zorro that uses a whip, I'm sorry, I just can't recommend it. Now, this one is an actual Santo movie, Santo versus El Cerebro del Mal. I'm not even sure if that's an L or what it is on that, because the handwriting I'm having a hard time reading. But this is a black and white Santo movie. It's actually one of my least favorite black and white Santo movies. In general, I like the black and white Santo movies better than the color ones. Most of them are a little more moody and atmospheric, and most of them are just the color ones are a little more tongue-in-cheek, a little more Adam West Batman sort of style, although not completely. But the black and white ones tended to be a little bit more serious monster movies, and they're a lot of fun. But this one is about some sort of evil science. It's such a lame movie that I'm having a hard time remembering what it's about exactly. But it's an evil scientist or mesmerist or hypnotist or something of that ilk who's controlling people's brains. And the plot is so bad I really can't remember it, even though I just watched this about a year ago. So I don't recommend Santo versus El Cerebro del Mal. It's not good. It's a Santo movie. If you're a Santo completist like me, you got to have them all the ones you can find. But that one was a disappointment, especially since it was a black and white one. I kind of had higher hopes for it. The next one is Mil Mascaras versus the Aztec Mummy. Mil Mascaras versus the Aztec Mummy. This one was also disappointing for a completely different reason. This is a color movie. I'm not sure what year it was made. But it was made, I think it's fair to say, very late in Mil Mascaras' career. And if you're not familiar with Mil Mascaras in the Santo era of Mexican wrestling, or Lucha Libre as they call it, as we all call it, in the era where Santo and Blue Demon and these wrestlers were wrestlers like Black Shadow and El Rayo de Jalisco were all big wrestlers in that era. Mil Mascaras was a bodybuilder who won a competition with a magazine to be trained as a wrestler, and the magazine was looking for a perfect guy with a perfect physique to be Mil Mascaras, and their concept was that Mil Mascaras would have 1,000 masks. That's what it means. It means 1,000 masks, basically. And they wanted a wrestler that would have a lot of different masks. And Mil Mascaras won the contest and was trained as a wrestler and became, I would say, probably the third or fourth most popular wrestler of that era among the good guy wrestlers. He was a very popular wrestler. He was in movies. The problem with this movie is that it comes so late in his career that he's well on into middle age. If not, I think it would almost be fair to say this movie comes towards the end of his career. And it doesn't really have good action. It's kind of plodding and dull and kind of lame. And it's not a complete disappointment, but it was a disappointment. So I don't recommend that movie. Now, a movie that I do recommend, the one of these four that I do recommend, and because three of them were so forgettable, that's probably why I thought I had covered all these movies before. This is the one that gave me the nagging feeling that I had missed one, because this one is a fun movie. This is Blue Demon versus Cerebros Infernales, if I'm pronouncing that right and reading this horrible handwriting right. Anyways, this is a color movie. It's very much in the mode of an Adam West Batman sort of thing. It's fairly tongue-in-cheek. It has sort of a pop art Batman 60s, early 70s feel to the sets and the costumes. It's pretty over the top, and it's about stealing brains. It's about stealing brains, and they actually steal brains from these smart people and keep them under glass. And you know, it doesn't sound like a great plan to me, but you know, they're good. They're making pretty good headway with it until Blue Demon calls them on it, and then beats the crap out of them. But it's not quite that easy, and there's some challenges along the way. And this is a fun color movie, and it's probably my favorite Blue Demon movie that I've seen where he's not co-starring with Santo. So of the Blue Demon solo movies that I've seen, this is my favorite, and I do recommend it. Blue Demon versus Cerebros Infernales. That's a fun movie, and I'm going to make a separate video and show you a clip from that movie. It's going to be you got to watch that video too, because it's going to be one of the greatest clips you've ever seen. Okay, so check that one out too. It'll probably be right underneath this one. Thank you, and I'll see you again soon.